Hey, welcome back everybody. So this is the one of two gates I'm building for a driveway. They're both 12 foot long, 4 foot high. Outside frame is done with 2x3 box, 11 gauge. Centers are 1.5 inch box, 11 gauge. And I figure I'd just make a quick video while I'm in it doing it, and maybe be able to share a couple of tips or whatever as to how I do it versus how other guys do it. I don't have a big flat jig table, and I don't rely on my floor because the slab is never 100% flat. So what I like to do is I'll get all the pieces pre-cut, just production cut everything, and then take the framework, put it up on some sawhorses. What that allows me to do is then I can take a piece of angle iron or box or something and clamp it from one corner to the other underneath. And what that'll do is it'll make sure that the corners of the tubing are in the same plane, they're flat with each other. Once that's clamped up, then I'll go around it and tap corners with like a small couple pound hammer like that one, and get it to where a framing square shows good in all four corners. And then I will go ahead and pull a tape measure corner to corner and check the numbers. And this one is within about 1/8 of an inch, maybe even a little lighter than that. So really, really good. And so once that gets squared up and I like it, then I'll just go ahead and I'll put a couple of tacks in the corners just to hold things. This one here, I had to set up a jig and I cut about 66 of this 1.5 inch box at 42 inches. Basically set up the chop saw with a stop block and then just repeatability so that they're all the same. All of them are fitting really nice. They're just basically a tack fit with the hammer. Things will move, things will expand, contract once you start stitching. But what I wanted to do on this was I wanted these balusters to be centered. So the outside frame is 2 inch and the balusters are 1.5 inch. So in order to get them centered up, what I did was, if you can see in there, get you in focus, I clamped a piece of 1.5 inch angle iron across the bottom, and then I put a piece of 1/4 inch flat stock on top of it to rest the balusters on. So basically what that does is it spaces me evenly, where I could just tap them in, lay them in. I know they're all exactly the same height, nothing's in or out, all the way down. And I went ahead and I did a dry fit with them with a piece of 2x4 at 3.5 inches in between. And it couldn't have worked out any better. I ran from this end to this end, 3.5, every one, and the very last one was 3 3/8 in between, 1/8 of an inch, which you're never going to see. So spacing worked out really, really well. Didn't have a small gap that was going to show or a larger gap that was going to show. That's why I like to kind of do a dry run and see what I've got first, see how things are going to fall before you just go ahead and start burning, because it's way harder to cut stuff out than it is to stick the nozzle in there and pull the trigger. So another little thing that I like to do is, you'll notice this piece of mason string with the vice grips on it. 12-foot stick, only supported at the ends, and even though it's tubing, will have a little bit of a sag to it over the run. So I take a piece of mason string and I just throw a vice grip on it just for a weight, and I run it all the way down. Same story on this end, same story on both sides, because the string will always be straight. The string will never lie to you. It's used in framing, it's used in masonry. I use it in this because it's just a quick, easy, very accurate go-to. And so before I put the string on it, I couldn't really see that it was out, but I just know from experience that the weight of it, there was going to be a little sag to it, especially after you start putting the balusters on and you gain a little weight. So I put the string on it, and sure enough, the middles were down about 3/16 to an inch, or 3/16 of an inch, maybe even a quarter. So luckily I have a big floor jack, and all I did was I just threw a piece of scrap 2x2 box across the bottom of it, put the jack under it, and just pressed it up to where the string meets the tubing 100% flush, and that's where it'll stay until I finish welding all the balusters in. These centers, you'll notice I've got some witness marks there. There's I believe 7 of them that are not going to get burned in just yet. There's going to be a decorative box in the middle of this gate with a W in it, customer's request. So that's going to get done after, but I still needed to lay out dry to keep my spacing correct all the way to the end. And see if probably get a little bit, you'll see what I did with the angle iron. It's basically just in there, clamped up, and it runs. The flat stock I bought it just for this project, 3/4 by 1/4 flat stock. And I've got a ton of uses for it. I could go ahead and, after I'm done using it here, I'll just throw it in the rack. But one of the first things I did with it was a while back, and I don't think I've got a video on it, but I used to have a 10-3 cord that was like 25 feet long for my welder. And I started doing a lot of outside in the yard work, big trailer work, some stage work. And I built this off-road cart for the welder, and right now I've got solid wheels on it, but I have soft tires for it. I keep the hard ones on because in the shop, just rolling around, it's easier. But if I do have to get out in the yard, I've got like a soft knobby hand truck tire for them, which works really well. But one of the things is when I did that upgrade to be able to weld outside, I bought a 50-foot 8/3 cord wired into the panel. That's now the feed for the welder. And I had a couple of crappy little hooks that were on the end of the bench. So what I did was, last night I cut a couple pieces of that flat stock, tacked them to a piece of pipe, torched them, bent them up, and made a set of hooks just to contain this cable, which is going to work out really well. So the flat stock came out a little short on this, but once 80% of it's done, then I can just slide everything down and keep it for the spacing, and then it'll go in the rack. And then we build so many miscellaneous things and little projects like that. It's nice to have extra material just laying around. So I figured I'd make a quick video on where I'm at right now. Probably going to be like I'll do a 3-part series. Once both of them are well on their way and laid out, and the W's are in them and stuff like that, I'll do another quick video. And then I'll probably do a video of them out on site, installed. The like I said, the frames are 2x3. I've got to make 2 posts that are going to be tied to the driveway, and they're also going to be tied to the side of some big columns that he put in. Those will also be out of 2x3. Usually I like to do 3x3 for the posts, but he wanted the slimmer profile. And the nice thing is they'll be tied to the slab, and they'll also be tied to the column with 1/2-inch all thread. So be completely sturdy, won't have to worry about anything moving or sagging. And I actually just had the hinges come in. These here are 6-inch barrel hinge, Zerk fittings on them. They've got a ball bearing in them. Got a ball bearing in them. They carry a ton of weight. They're greasable, fairly waterproof, 6-inch barrel hinge. I think I got the 4 of them off of eBay for about $70 for the 4 of them. But they work flawless. It's the only style hinge that I would recommend on a gate. I did it on a 8x8 gate in my own yard out of 2x2 box, and it's worked flawlessly for years. So, but this is the first part, show you where I'm at, and then I'm gonna keep rolling with it. Got a few other things to do today, handle some regular business, and I will get this one wrapped up, and there'll be a video probably within a day or two. Today's Monday, and I've got to have them wrapped up by Wednesday in order to paint them, let them cure out, and then they're going to go out for install probably end of the week or possibly over the weekend. But this is where we're at. Check it out. Hope you like it. Got any questions, hit me up in the comments. Like it, subscribe, all the stuff you guys like to do. Talk to you soon.